Property is a big financial investment and lots of things can go wrong. Disputes with the neighbours, shoddy renovations, DA problems, the list goes on. These issues can last for months or even years and almost always cost you time and money. But don't worry, there are people who can help. In a perfect world, our neighbours would be our best friends. Long afternoons would be spent discussing the issues of the day and everyone would just get along. Sounds great, but sometimes the reality is more like this. From time to time, we can all get on each other's nerves. Whether it's the barking dogs that just won't stop, the neighbour's tree that hangs over your side of the fence, or the development that's just not popular with the rest of the street. There are a million ways we can end up in disputes, and getting some professional advice is a great way to avoid them. Contacting a professional may seem like overkill, but more often than not, it will save you time and money. And Simone found this out when she had a dispute with some developers next door. Her carport encroached onto their property and they offered to remove it for free. But Simone had some concerns about the developer's plan.
They started off very nice and very friendly and said it wouldn't cost me a cent and they'd take care of it. I only asked them to agree to three things, and that was to ensure that it was aesthetically pleasing, to guarantee the quality of the work, that they weren't just going to stick a couple of sticks under the carport that might fall down, and that I'd still be able to park my car off the street, because obviously it had implications to the value of my property if I lost the off-street parking. And I also wanted something in writing that demonstrated to me how much the encroachment was, to ensure they weren't taking more land than they were entitled to.
And because Simone felt it was best not to sign on the dotted line until her concerns were resolved, things ended up getting worse before they got better.
When I said no, he got quite rude, and after that had sort of contacted me a couple of other times, threatening that any delays on that development would cost money and that I would end up being liable for that, which I think for anyone who doesn't know the industry may find that quite a scary threat.
After hundreds of phone calls, Simone discovered that she could get some legal advice from HomeSource. They've got professional lawyers and builders you can talk to, and they help Simone work out what to do. So she decided to move the carport herself on her own terms, which meant it was time for Simone to find a reliable tradesman. Now, we all have friends who give advice on all sorts of things, but when it comes to renovating your house, your friends may not be the best people to speak to. Which is why Simone decided to speak to HomeSource's building experts as well. Their advice saved her heaps of money. Simone paid $1,500 for her carport instead of $7,000. And Simone's not the only one who's needed some good advice. Pia from HomeSource deals with similar cases all the time.
We have a lot of builders that join the service, a lot of women who live alone that are doing renovations, that might have received a quote from a builder. They're not sure about the quality of the quote that they received. In Simone's case, she obtained 3 quotes and they varied greatly in the cost. So she spoke to the builder and the builder was able to look at all the quotes and actually say to her, you know, this is the one to go with because the other one is offering you things that you don't need.
Which gave Simone the confidence to choose the best price without compromising the quality of the job. But you have to be careful because it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes the price is fine, but the work is shoddy. And just because it's cheaper to start with, if the quality is not there, dodgy work can cost you in the long run. That's why it's handy to have an expert who can give you some tips.
The number of complaints that come out of situations where people think that their friend's friend can do them a cheap deal, they don't sign a contract, they don't agree on a price, they start a job and then they get into trouble. So common. And what we say to people is you're better off starting by hiring somebody that's fully licensed, fully qualified, signs a code of conduct, which is what our tradespeople all do.
I think once you've had an experience like that, and many people do, I think you definitely appreciate having a service like HomeSource. Unfortunately, I think we're ultimately optimists, but it's nice to be prepared, just like having an insurance policy.
So as you can see, in any the best people to speak to are the professionals. You can find HomeSource's Ask a Builder and Ask a Lawyer on the My Home website. So go to myhome.com.au.
place like